2 YouTubers tried to end my career over Drake's Iceman numbers.
Today has been a very bad day for Drake haters, right? A very good day for Drake, but a very bad day for his haters. Man, they're unraveling, they're panicking, they're spiraling out of control. And I don't know, man, sitting back and watching everything happen, minding my good, broke, and highly favored business, it's been a joy to see. Shout out to this creator right here called J Roebuck. He just dropped a video exposing one of Drake haters that I'm not really too familiar with. So without him, I wouldn't have made this video because I don't know who this dude is. But this dude has Drake derangement syndrome. No, truly, it's a sickness, and this dude is sick.
The only people who want to see this nonsense. Drake's so scared to drop this. He knows that this is going to do 150, right? He knows first week sales going to be 175, 225 if motherfuckers curious, right? Other than that, wah, right? Be like every Marvel movie that has dropped in the last couple years. Wah.
I'm not even gonna laugh at a 50-year-old man sitting in his car on his work break making a video about a billionaire and how unsuccessful that billionaire is. Because obviously, you know, y'all see the humor in that as well. And again, I'm not even gonna say, hey man, you should not have said that. If you have an opinion, you should be able to critique and criticize anybody. However, here's where the Drake derangement syndrome comes in, and it's really sad to watch. If you're predicting that Drake is gonna sell 100 to 150,000 copies first week because nobody cares about the Drake rollout, nobody cares about the album, Drake is ice cold right now, and that's your opinion, right? You have a right to have that opinion. And then Drake surpasses your expectation. He outsells the 150. He sells like 480, I believe. I believe because, again, you're in media, right? You shouldn't have any biases. You shouldn't, you know, treat this as something personal. Like, you shouldn't be in this delusional one-sided beef with Drake who don't know who you are. You should be able to come back in that same car you were in, look at the camera and say, hey, I was wrong. Drake surpassed my expectations. Shout out to the brother, man. Because if you are a journalist, a music analyst, a commentator, you shouldn't be in this delusional one-sided beef with Drake who don't know who you are. You should be objective. And objectivity comes in and say, yo, man, hey, he surpassed my expectations. I didn't know he was going to sell this much. Shout out to Drake. It's a success. But instead, he came back with more Drake derangement syndrome. Now, instead of admitting his wrongs and saying, yo, Drake surpassed my expectations, he then began to try to make whatever Drake did into an L.
You said he was going to do what? 125, 225 if people are interested? Now listen, I'm going to give you some credit because you did try to walk this back a bit. Let's listen to your second video, but this is the video I actually have the most problem with.
What's happening as you expected, and a lot of people are trying to remind me of what I said. I said a lot of most of it was true. A dude went back to me saying some way back last summer when Iceman was still cold, talking about, you said it was 150. Keep in mind, every time I post on Twitter, he goes into my post, you said it was going to be 150. I may have said that. I don't even remember saying it, but I may have said it a year ago.
I'm not going to allow you to move the goalpost. Now, first, we're going to start with this. You do say a lot, so maybe you don't remember, but I'm here to remind you. You didn't say that last year. You did not say that last summer. In fact, I'm going to attach a picture here. The picture next to you is an article from Complex that came out in November, which means you said all of these things about 5 to 6 months ago. The real thing that I want to talk about is how you explain the data, because I think that was very misleading. So let's get straight to that.
What goes up must come down, but we didn't know how fast it was going to come down. Gang, this guy been on top for 24 hours. That thing started to crash and burn, and what they're doing, I'm going to read to you what happened because I had to Google it to be sure, and Google said, yep, it did, right? It crashed and burned. What happened was, the thing, it doesn't have no staying power, it has no hits. But when you don't focus on a hit to try to make a hit, you're going to not have one.
So let's dissect this first. The first thing you say is what goes up must come down, which is in fact true. But you said that this thing is starting to crash and burn and it has no staying power. I want to welcome you to the Roebuck School of Numbers. Everyone pay attention. Now, the chart that he has up on his video is showing streaming numbers on a day-by-day basis, and it's showing you basically the change. That's why you'll see some numbers in red. But what he's failing to explain to you is that that is normal. It is absolutely normal for a song not to perform as well on day 2 as it did on day 1. By side comparison of day 1 to day 2 numbers of not just Drake and his previous albums, but also Kendrick Lamar, because that is obviously who people are going to compare him to. So let's take a look at the numbers. We can see here Iceman, day 1 had 140 million streams. In comparison, day 2 went to 92 million. That's a 34% drop. According to Challz, he says that means it has no staying power. But let's look at that in comparison to other Drake albums. We've seen a 35% drop with CLB. We've seen a 35% drop with Scorpion, which means this falls right into the average. But let's not talk about Drake here. Let's talk about Kendrick Lamar. Now we can look with Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. From day 1 to day 2, there was a 35% drop.
Shout out to this brother, Jay. This was an absolute clinical, man. Now, I don't know the other dude too well, bro. I can't even tell you his name. But if people are going to him for serious music takes, man, then you should question your life decisions, because this is just bad.
Gang, Poetic Flacco doesn't know who I am, but yet and still made a video about little old me. Gang, this is absolutely hilarious. I want to shout out J Roebuck and Poetic Flacco because, like Meek Mill says, I used to pray for times like this, for rhymes like this. Listen, gang, I used to pray for this because I know for one thing, these guys not ready for this problem that I'm about to give them, but I am going to bring it. Salute to J Roebuck. We have had I want to say friendly confrontations in the past. We have had debates in the chat and we've talked about each other several ways. I respect the young man. I take a liking to him because he's very articulate. I watched his debate against Top 5 Troy. It was one Drake fan versus one Drake hater. I watched his debate against the 5 Drake haters, and it was him. And one thing I can say for sure, he does know how to manipulate a situation to make it seem like his point of view is correct, and I will give him that. He's a smart young brother, right? Remember that movie, Undercover Brother, smart young brother, right? End of the day, we haven't had a real face-to-face debate, but I promise you that's coming, and I do want to talk about this because J Roebuck has a tendency to watch my videos and react and respond, and that's okay. I respect that, and I expect you to come with a different of opinion, but when you do that, gang, you step into some muddy waters because unlike these other guys, I don't play like that. I really do this for real. And when I see that you come with, I want to say, stats and facts and things, but they're missing bits and pieces, well, that's when I step in. What they did, gang, what had happened was I did a video 6 months ago back in November, right? And I keep telling you on Twitter, they love to remind me what I said. When this album dropped, first of all, they try to remind me, oh, no blackout, about the blackout that was supposed to happen when we were going to do the, reactors weren't supposed to salute the Jalopy Bungas. Reactors weren't supposed to react to the Iceman album, which we never said we were not going to say that the shit was out. We just weren't going to play the music and react to it. That's what Jalopy said, and no one did that. We didn't do that, okay? Now, end of the day, they love to remind me of that because I stood beside Jalopy when he called for that blackout or whatever it was named. And they like to remind me that once upon a time in my life, I said that Drake would do 150 to 225 if they were curious, right? You got to key on those words. 225 if they're curious. Now, the internet loves to say, Charles Brown said that Drake was going to do 150. And what had happened was J Roebuck a few days ago, yesterday, I think it was a day ago, made a video with that, reminding everyone of that exact quote. I already addressed that quote, I want to say probably 5-6 days ago on another video that I did. I said that they love reminding me of that quote, but they never bring up the fact that when I went on the company, man, the Culture United podcast, I went on there, which was way more recently than last November. I went on that podcast and I said it would do 450, right? Now, in this video, I'm going to get to all of this, that, and the third, but J Roebuck says, what made you jump to that conclusion out of nowhere? Because he hasn't released a single. Well, it was a different time, gang. You got to understand. This was November 2025. Iceman was ice cold, and I was saying around 225 it would do. Let's just be honest. So we're going to get to all that, and I'm going to break down what I was thinking. Jay said, what were you thinking? Well, I got a whole lot of information on what I was thinking and why I said that number, but let's start here. Poetic Flacco picked up that story, claims he doesn't know Charles Brown, doesn't know this dude, the dude in his car. He's 50 years old in his car on his lunch break, right? He doesn't know nothing about me, okay? But he does the story anyway, right? Okay, let's put it like this. Flacco got like 390,000 subscribers, right? I got damn near 40, and Jay got 13,000. But somehow he knows Jay doesn't know me. I've done stories on Flacco before. I've added Flacco. People have added Flacco with my stories, but somehow Flacco doesn't know me, doesn't know who I am. He wouldn't have done the story if he never watched Jay Roblox's video, so he decided to randomly do it on this dude in his car, okay? Okay, let's just say that's true. That means he's in a zeitgeist of Drake. It ain't that many, but positive Drake commentators. And Jay Roebuck right now is the leading one. I keep telling you that it don't pay a lot of money to be a Drake supporter on YouTube, gang. And that's for a reason, because the culture don't like the nigga, okay? But end of the day, this is where we are. Jay Roebuck is one of the ones. He's flourishing. He's doing a good job at what he does, and he's making some noise. I've shouted him out several times, and here we are. But Flacco is a right-wing leaning Drake supporter who used to dox people who criticized Umar Johnson, all of the things that I stand against. Let's just be honest. So me and him ain't gonna jive anyway. I'm not none of that. So everything that he stands for is the opposite of what I do on this channel. So there is good reason for Flacco to come after me. I understand the game, but I'm here for it. I like it, right? If you like it, I love it, Flacco. We could do this. You will know who I am after this, Mike G. Okay? End of the day, I respect Flacco's work ethic. You gotta understand. I understand this shit is a job, right? This dude is on there every day on that same couch. Nobody ever never see no females in the back doing nothing, right? End of the day, Flacco's in that house 24/7 doing videos. He don't even lead to no jumper no more. And I went to no jumper. Flacco wasn't there. It is what it is. But end of the day, we're going to get into all that because I love the situation. When I saw it on Flacco's channel, it tickled me because I went in the comments and it was like, oh, this, that, and the third. They got a lot to say about what this guy's delusional, this, that, and the third. But I see it as an opportunity. It's a teachable moment. I'm going to teach Jay Roebuck and I'm going to teach Flacco. Please don't come with half of the story. When you come against me, we need all of it. We need all of it. When you're going to accuse me of being delusional, right? Flacco called me, what did he call me? He said I am a delusion. I have Drake delusion syndrome, and I should return to the same car that I made the video in and renounce my mistake. If people are going to me for serious music takes, that's just sad. This is Flacco, who used to go around. He got in trouble for saying somebody had a sexually transmitted disease. Almost got in some real big trouble for that. But Flacco wants to get the facts straight, okay? So let's get the facts straight. We're going to talk about what I said. And again, one day soon, me and Jay Roebuck, we're going to get it in. But it ain't going to go like you think, because I don't play the same way they play. I'm not going to be all that nice and timid. I'm just going to be here doing what I do. And what I do is I state the facts. So let's start here. Let's talk about what happened around when I made that video in my car, right? I made that video November 16th of 2025. I want to talk about why I said it, because Jay Roebuck made it out to be like I said it. He said in the video, he incorrectly said you did. He said you didn't make that last year. I said last summer, but it was a long time ago, right? It was last year. I made it in November. Jay Roebuck said you didn't make it last year. You made it 5 to 6 months ago. Well, gang, that's okay. That's last year. Okay, so this was last year, right? But Jay Roebuck clipped it up after they think they won, gang. Let me just be honest. They think they won. This thing did 463, right? Guys, you got to understand. They won at 650, gang. This guy spent, I'm going to get into how much he spent on promo out of his own pocket. This is going to be embarrassing after a while. It's going to be absolutely embarrassing because they keep wanting to tell me. I told you my brother-in-law loved Drake. He already texted me this morning. He sent me something. Drake going to be number 1, 2, and 3 on the Billboard charts. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Okay, fine. Have your moment, gang. I don't know how much longer that shit going to be on there, but let's enjoy it. If you like it, I love it. We're going to get to that. So what we're going to do right now with Jay Roebuck, let's talk about what was going on in November 2025 when I made that egregious prediction that Drake would do 150, 225 if they're curious, right? Well, they was curious. You know what he did? This dude spent millions of dollars on promo, but let's get there. It was November. Iceman was absolutely cold. Drake had only, let me tell you what he dropped last year. Let me tell you what he did in the numbers of why I came up with that, since he wants to know why I had that egregious amount. Okay, In February 14th, after losing that battle badly, we had just seen him curl up in his hole and do a lawsuit. We saw him disappear. We saw him go to Australia and didn't finish the tour. He canceled the last 4 shows. We saw all of that. This dude was doing bad. I know they want to make it like, oh yeah, we was always Janice, shut the F up. No, Janice was talking mad crazy shit to this nigga back in 2024, 2025. This dude was absolutely cooked. Every time you saw him, his eyes was baggy. He was hanging his head. This nigga was stressing, my guy. So they want to make it like this nigga, all this the fur coat that he rocking now in the video, this, that, and third. It wasn't none of that shit. Okay, wasn't none of that. This nigga was off the grid. Okay, so in February 14th, 2025, Drake dropped randomly some sexy songs for you with Party Next Door. We all know that all them songs was Parties Next Door songs. Right? We know that all that shit was his and he jumped on them and put the shit out because he didn't want to put no rap shit out because the nigga was fucked. He was cooked. He ain't have it in him. Gang, the nigga took 2 years to drop this album. And he made 3 fucking albums. No, he was cooked, my guy. So let me talk about this, okay? End of the day, February 14th, Valentine's Day. Remember they was talking, it was who was it, Bag Fuel? They was saying, Drake, kill all that noise, drop your thing on Valentine's Day for the ladies, right? Well, he listened to him and he dropped it on Valentine's Day, right? That thing did 246,000. Okay, let's pay attention to what I'm telling you. This was the comeback album, even though he named it, some sexy songs for you as R&B. This was Drake's first release after the battle. He had dropped 100 gigs on your head top, went double nowhere, right? Nobody cared, but his hardcore fans, they went and downloaded it from the secret website, had to get the code and this, that, and the third. So they got the code, downloaded all this shit, put it on their damn computer, listened to it, they loved it, right? But the whole world didn't give 2 shits about it, okay? So end of the day, let me read this. Drake and Party Next Door's collaborative project, Some Sexy Songs for You, debuted at #1 for 1 week. Gang, let's stay focused. Stay with me. Earning 246,000 equivalent album units in its first week. The total sales and streams, the album earned 246,000 and it debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. The massive debut scored Party Next Door his first career chart topper and Drake's his 14th #1 album. They counted as Drake's #1 album, gang, but they always trying to tell you it's a collab. But they still count it as his, so we're going to do the same. All right, tying him with Jay-Z and Taylor Swift. Do you understand? This is the album, gang, that they keep trying to make it like it's both of theirs, but they counting it as against Jay-Z, gang. Okay, let me continue. With tying him with Jay-Z and Taylor Swift for the most #1s by a solo artist, okay? Don't ask me to make no sense out of it, gang. This is what it is, okay? So that popped on, they dropped it on February 14th. Now, I've been saying this for years since this happened. Well, this was, what was it, 8 years since this happened, that when that album dropped, they didn't know what the single was going to be. They had another song, I don't know what it was called, Give Me a Hug or something. Something was the other song that he picked, didn't work. So then they came and they let everybody listen to it and they figured out that Nokia would work. Well, gang, I keep telling you because I know I was in those groups on Twitter with those OVO people. I was in that OVO group for a while till I got too froggy and I let some secret information out. They kicked me out the group. I was in that group and I saw them as they started to try to make Nokia #1. They took 4 weeks. So it dropped on February 14th and by March 31st, it was released. And by April 25th, that thing had reached #2. Okay, so Nokia was pushed by the fans. That record had nothing going on, gang. It went #1 for 1 week and flopped and went down. That record was cooked. They found Nokia to be a good single and they started to push that single. Vividly, I remember them going, okay, guys, keep pushing, guys. Don't stop. We can do it. I remember these guys, July and Aubrey's attorney, all these pages, because, gang, I'm on Twitter. I see you guys every single day pushing it. One homeboy, think it was July, he was pushing an Amazon link, right? So if you click it and use his link, he was getting paid. So it was crazy shit going on Twitter, gang. I was there. I saw these guys. They forced that thing. They all mounted up and rode that thing together 24 hours a day, streaming it on several devices to get it where it was. Gang, this dude was not popping, but they take the wins. It's like watching some MAGA shit. Like, doesn't matter how we got there, we got there. They take the wins and they brag about the wins that they forced. It's forced botting, gang. But let's stay with me. This is what Jala, right? Frederick Jala, aka I believe his name is Frederick Jala, aka Poetic Flacco, and and Jay Roebuck are clapping their hands and stomping their feet about, right? A 4 single that went number 2, didn't even get the number 1, and then went right back down where it's supposed to be, because you can't keep forcing it. These motherfuckers, they don't have enough attention span to stay with it, okay? But let me continue. After it got there, they clapped their hands in April, da-da-da. The track hit its peak position on the chart April 19th. This was after it was released on March 31st, okay? Making the record, extending 24 career top 2 hit on the Billboard 100. All that album, all of that hype, this is the first release, and that happened to make 246,000 units, okay, gang? So stay with me. I said it would do 225 if they were interested, gang. Okay, maybe I could have said 250, okay? Tit for tat. Take it how you want it, okay? Now, what else did he do last year? He had dropped that whole album. Now, mind you, didn't drop no more singles, gang. You gotta understand what that means. He gave up on the shit, right? This is Party Next Door, big debut. Motherfucker been on that damn label for God knows how long. You Drake fans could tell me how long Party been there and ain't do shit. This is first album, and it has to be a co-sign with this guy. Okay, you tell me how long that took. When Jay Roebuck tried to tell them, those Drake haters, that Drake does so much for his artists. What does he do? I don't know, because at the end of the day, I don't know none of these motherfuckers that, where's Smiley at? Like, I don't know none of these guys that really did anything. Let's just be honest, but let's stay focused, okay? So after that happened with Nokia was March 31st. Crickets, right? Nothing else. Now we got the what did I miss? Because now we always full on in. It's Iceman time. Gang, this is a year ago. We get Iceman episode 1, 2, and 3 back to back. Bing bong. Oh, now we cook. Guy, you gotta understand, this is a year ago. They were promoting Iceman over a year. So now, gang, let's stay focused. So then we get What Did I Miss? Officially released on streaming platforms on July the 5th, right? 2025. Summertime is hot. The day after the 4th of July. Guess what? We jamming, right? It served as the lead track and rollout for his 9th studio album, Iceman. Gang, what you got to pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. On July 5th, they had a lead single for an album that did not come out till next May. Gang. But they want to compare this to a surprise release by Kendrick Lamar. This is what they want to do. They want to connect these numbers. This guy put out 18 tracks on Iceman, then put out 2 other albums with it, gang, and they want to compete, and they still want those numbers to match up. They still want you to sit there and say he beat K. Gang. It's derangement syndrome. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be here because I'm deranged with you. Okay, let me continue. The next track was Which One by Drake. This was in episode 2. Episode 1 was What Did I Miss? Episode 2 was Which One? A collaboration with UK rapper Central C. Salute to Central C, all right? Got nothing bad to say about him. Was officially released on July 25th. So he dropped, the first episode was July 5th. Crickets, right? What did I miss? And moderate, whatever. We can get into what it did. Then we had Which One, which I told you. I was in that OVO group on Twitter, and they was back and forth. They was eating themselves. They was arguing amongst themselves. This one I got kicked out because they was arguing amongst themselves about they didn't know that Which One was the right single. They were like, "Yo, I love Drake, but I'm not sure if this is it." And they started to argue amongst themselves. It was clips and all kind of stuff coming out. When they found out I was in that group, they said, "Who's the admin of this group? Get this guy out of here." Within 5 minutes, I was kicked out of the group, so I ain't had no more inside information. But when I was in there, Which One was the single that was coming out? It says the track was initially released as a standalone single in mid-2025, but is included as the 5th track on the surprise album Made to Honor, which dropped as part of the triple album release in May 15th of 2026. Now, the OVO fans, they disagreed that they wanted it on, that they didn't want it on Iceman, and it didn't get on Iceman. It ended up on Made to Honor, okay? So they kind of got some pull, but end of the day, it is still included in that 3-pack, right? And I'm not going to disrespect and say 3-pack of ass, but that's what some people are calling it. Okay, so end of the day, it still got included. Now, What Did I Miss was included in Iceman. Now, you guys had a full-on meltdown when Cardi B put her song on her album. I saw the Nicki fans, they almost tried to delete the whole Twitter. They was so bad, they was burning up. They was encouraging Drake fans and everybody else to diss Cardi B for putting her song on the album, but nobody said nothing when What Did I Miss ended up on Iceman. It's from a year ago, right? The same numbers, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, if the numbers from What Did I Miss don't automatically jump up to Iceman, to make Iceman numbers, and Which One doesn't jump up to make Made to Honor numbers boost, but K-Dot could have easily put, the conversation would have been over had he put Not Like Us on GNX just at the end. Just at the end, just to F up the number. We would be having a different conversation. But you guys play different games, and that's okay. That's why we're real over here. We don't need to play games. You put your songs on there and boost the numbers up and go back and fold your arms like you won, because anything goes over there to get what you need to get, like the public body. But we gonna stay focused, okay? So then Drake's single Doghouse featuring Julia Wolf and Yeet, right? I think I heard half of it and I cut it off, okay? Was officially released on September 9th, right? Virgo season, right? So we had July 5th, we had What Did I Miss? July 25th, we had Which One? And then on the third episode of Iceman, gang, you got to realize this is a rollout, gang. You got to understand. So when I said what I said it in November. By September of 2025, he released Doghouse, right? Doghouse, the collaborative track by Drake and Julia Wolf, debuted at number 53 on the Billboard Hot 100 in its opening week. Gang, I need you to listen to. I'm going to say this again so we can say this together and you can remember this fact. Doghouse released on September 9th, hit number 53. All right, Jay Roebuck want to know why I said what I say. So Jay, we stay focused. Stay here with me, gang, because this is what I do. So number 53, this is his third single off the episode 3 of Iceman, and it hit number 53, my G. So let me keep talking. The single was a major streaming success, earning 1.13 million streams in its opening day of Spotify and charting as one of the most popular hip-hop songs. What I've learned about Google, too, I don't know why Google's so protective of this guy. It could be duds, all kind of shit. Google would say the nicest shit. I'm just going to be honest, but let me stay focused. First week breakdown. Billboard Hot 100 debuted at number 53. This is not Drake, gang. Ain't no stimulus there, but Jay Roebuck just did a video about the Drake stimulus package, but let's stay focused, okay? Marketing Drake's record extending 361st career entry on the chart. Nigga makes a lot of music, drops a lot of songs. They never say that part. I just watched his video, I think it's Janice STFU, where he's talking about the numbers. Like he's always been this and you just getting there, but you ain't fuck with it. It's all about the numbers, but they want us to believe that that's botting. The guy that rap about numbers don't bot, but the other guy, let me finish. So the track earned 1.13 million streams on its opening day and later surged to 2.29 million streams to reach number 41. Okay, this is Drake. They had to get it to 41, and that was it. It debuted at number 54 on the UK singles charts, and it also debuted on the Australian charts. So listen to what's going on. We didn't even get Mr. Recoup yet. So when I made that statement, Iceman was cold. We had 3 episodes, and the third song, the Doghouse song, didn't make none of the 3 albums that came out, gang. You need to understand what's going on. This guy was in turmoil when I said 150 to 225, if they're interested, right? If they're curious is what I said. I said 150 to 225 if they're curious. Well, they was curious, okay? So this is what I said. This is called an educated guess, but they want to come back a year later. This is what they call a year later. If I said this shit last year, this is a year later. Okay, so they want to come back, say 6 months later, let's say that, and tell me what I said when the album was ice cold. He hadn't even done Mr. Recoup with 21 Savage yet, and I was talking about, but gang, do you know my video? My video was about the interview that he did with Complex News. He did an interview where he emailed them some answers to some questions, and they ran it like this Drake interview about the Iceman. They started talking, it was the driest interview. It's like the whole world's talking about Kendrick Lamar, and this interview's talking about his making process, the process of making Iceman 1, 2, and 3, and how episode 4 was going to be the best of all 4. It was a dry ass interview. It was really just a fluff piece for Complex to say we interviewed Drake. And to me, I thought this shit was boring. I thought it was trash, and I thought it was weak of them to even accept that mail then shit. We ain't talk about nothing, but they did it anyway. We don't even know if the nigga even wrote the shit or not, but they said it was Drake. And so I made a video about it on November 16th, talking about how awful that interview was. The whole video I made was about the interview. Wasn't even about the album. But okay, Jay, so let's play. So then you said that, you put that in there. So let's talk about it. It was November 6th, I believe November 16th when I made that video. He had a third single off Iceman that went number 54 in the UK singles. It reached, at the best it could do was number 41 on the global Spotify charts. So let me ask you this, Jay. If he had dropped that Iceman shit, a surprise drop in November, what would it have done, Jay? Let's just be honest. But Jay don't want to talk about that. Jay wants to talk about right now because they won, right? Let me finish though. Let's get to what they won, right? Kirk, let's tell them what they won. Let's get there, okay? He hadn't dropped Mr. Recoup yet with 21 Savage. That went on 21 Savage album. Everything on 21 Savage album tanked. This the only song did anything, and it ain't even do that much. Okay, it reached #1 on Apple Music, but everything he does gonna be #1 on Apple Music. It ain't like it's no other music on that fucking shit. But on Billboard Hot 100, it peaked at 61. Okay, so this is Drake full-on stimulus package with his mans, right? 21 Savage shit went to 61 on Billboard, okay? So you tell me, Jay, at that time, my educated guess should have been what, 450? Okay, now we're gonna get to why Jay said, Charles, tell me why you got to 450. He said, explain that, sir. I get it, Jay. You doing your job, and you do a very good job. I'm gonna give you that, okay? But we gonna keep it pushing, okay? The massive rollout is what changed, gang. What it is things change, right? Just like with Trump and this, that, and the third. At some point, his polls will be here. If you polling people a year before the election and it's looking really bad, right? Well, it might be here. Remember when he came down the escalator when he first ran and this, that, and the third? It changed. Something changed. Things changed as pieces, moving pieces, this, that, and the third, things changed. So what had happened was theatrics. Drake knew what I knew. This ain't working, gang. I can't get my last 3 joints. I dropped look crazy. Remember he did that Cabera, whatever her name is. Salute to the real pretty Spanish girl where Drake supposedly did 2 songs for her. Both of them joints did double goo-goo. Right? They ain't do nothing. Everything he touched was mud last year. So end of the day, I don't know that Jay knows because they like to pretend that they don't know. But Jay knows that all that shit was foo-foo. So end of the day, he had to do something. He had to change the narrative. Where they did a lot on that. They did a lot of sending out a lot of money to a lot of pages to attack Kendrick 24 hours a day, because I seen it in real time, and to big up this guy 24 hours a day. And they attacked every single narrative that the culture had. And I'm not gonna say created, the culture had knew. They attacked all of them, even down to the word culture itself. So they had a massive campaign, millions, to reverse this narrative, and it started to work. I made videos about how, gang, I'm seeing something, this is changing, this narrative about this guy, because if you keep pumping something long enough, you pump something into the media, the social media and the zeitgeist, after a while, it's going to start to stick. So the narrative that started to swing, that Drake wasn't gone, he's coming back, Kendrick he's done now, he's over, that dot era's over. Academics and everybody else started repeating the same narratives, regurgitating the same shit, and they start, Iceman on the way, Iceman on the way. And we started hitting that shit for fucking months, okay? So a lot of stuff started to turn around every now and then, right? It started to turn around. And as we led up to that, that's called a rollout. 1, 2, and 3, the episodes, they made some noise, but the rollout really began toward around that time where J. Cole was about to come with that fall off. They started to turn up the heat. And so let me read to you what happened, Jay, so we can all read it together. Drake's highly cinematic Iceman album rollout cost over $3.7 million to produce. They put millions. That's just the tip, because it took $15 million for the CN Tower projection. But let's stay focused. It cost the rollout cost over $3.7 million to produce this, and reports are that he paid this out of his own pocket. But because UMG ain't gonna do this, that, and the third. But why would they when you're suing them? But let's stay focused. With some broader community estimates even suggesting an end-to-end total of $16 million when factoring in the sheer scale of the citywide visual takeover. So this guy, Jay, $16 million of promotion. Okay, $16 million. Mind you, I'm going to keep reminding you that GNX was a surprise drop with 12 tracks. I need you to understand that. This guy dropped 43 tracks, 3 CDs, gang. Okay, and yes, I say CDs because I'm an old head, right? Okay, Flacco, the 50-year-old nigga in his car. But let me finish. Specific expenditures for the campaign included. This is what happened, Jay. Let me talk to you. A CNN Tower projection, an estimated $15 million for the massive projection display that virtually froze Toronto's skyline on release day. So, gang, that thing lit up the whole tower. That thing was, they had mad projectors at 200,000 per 200,000 a piece. They shipped the projectors from Saudi Arabia, all kind of shit, gang, to do that massive amount of money. The ice installation, approximately $1.2 million for giant ice blocks placed across Toronto, which hid the release date, and frozen courtside seats at the Scotiabank Arena, gang. This is all promotion, gang. It costs millions of dollars, gang. He bought the Michael Jackson glove, $120,000 to purchase a high-end crystal-studded glove featured on the project's album cover. Gang, I could have got you the old-ass Burger King glove, looked just like it. You could have did the same thing for like $1. But let me continue. Back in the day, that's back in the day, though. They were giving them out free when you bought the kids meal. But that's neither here nor there. Look it up, Google it. All right. Okay, so then the stunts and visuals, hundreds of thousands on stunts creators, coordinators, trucking, pyro crews, and New York explosion sets for an inside look on the Toronto installations. So end of the day, right? He did the Iceman streams. All of that stuff costs money. He spent a lot of money on trucks and pyro and this, that, and third, and they blew up. Remember that big explosion that rocked Toronto one night, as the album was on the way to be done? Well, they made a whole video of just the explosion, gang. I can't make this shit up. Homeboy did 18 videos for this thing. God, you gotta understand. They taking this shit as a win. Nigga, damn, they spent $1 billion trying to get this shit to pop. Okay, let me continue though. Drake. They gonna clip that up. You think clip it up, nigga. Enjoy yourself. Drake dropped 15 cinematic music videos specifically for tracks on his Iceman album, along with 3 additional videos for his R&B album Hibbity. Right? I call it Hibbity Bibbity. The 18 total videos were released as a massive visual rollout accompanying his triple drop album. Gang, you gotta listen to what I just said. Iceman got 18 songs. He made 15 videos, gang, and dropped them all. But Jay wants to pretend like this guy didn't do nothing but just drop like Kendrick did, gang. They're not telling you this. This is the stuff they're leaving out, gang. This guy spent millions. So imagine, take away all that shit and drop this shit last November. Does it do 225 or not? But Jay don't want to have this conversation, dog. Jay don't want to have this conversation. All right, let me continue though. Because Jay's like, what, Challz, what made you do it? Was no singles. Oh, okay, so let's talk about it then. All right. So he had a triple album drop. Iceman is believed to have made 7 to 12 million in the first week. Gang, you gotta understand, he doesn't get all that. Okay, so let's talk about all that he did. Drake deal with UMG. Gang, I've been all day working on this shit, gang. I'm just gonna be honest. They said Drake deal with UMG is most likely a 30 to 70% split. So all that shit, you gotta understand when they say that Drake had he recouped that whole 400 million. Well, gang, what people fail to realize is when you get a loan like that, you don't get nothing until you pay the full loan back. So Drake was out there scrounging and scraping, doing this, that, and the third, and they were taking money from them shows and everything else. It was a 360 deal. So he wasn't. Let's just be honest. Most deals, when you get an advance like that, you got to pay back all of it. It's artists that say I never received a royalty check. It's hundreds, if not thousands, of artists who've never received a royalty check because they never recouped. So if he got a record deal like they say he had to wait until he recouped $400 million. I could be wrong because they never discussed this shit. But you got to understand, he's very upset with Lucian Grange. All the Drake fans can pretend, but they know all these bars he's spitting at Lucian Grange. I watched Jay's video where he breaks down all the bars he's spitting at Lucian Grange before and during the battle. He's not happy with his deal. That's why we're here. And he tried to use Kendrick as leverage to get out of the deal. Gang, that's what y'all don't understand. Shit wasn't about no fucking pedophile. He tried to use and he says it on his record. You guys got to understand, I'm suing the man. I'm not suing the rapper. I'm suing the man, right? So we know, the ones like me that understand what's really going on, oh yeah, we know what's going on. You're mad at Lucian Grange. This ain't about Dot. Yeah, you're mad at him too. Your feelings hurt with him, but you're trying to use that as a business deal. You're trying to leverage your way out of this contract. But you're really scared to go independent. We're going to get to that. Okay, but let's talk about this. So that $400 million that he supposed, they always say, Challz, you don't know what you're talking about. Drake paid that back in 2022. You sure? End of the day, he still was mad about the deal. He still put a lawsuit on the table, and he still allegedly did 3 records to get out of the deal that you said he was renegotiating. All of these things that you say about Drake, they're all conjecture. It's not shit that he told you. When they point to stuff that Drake said, it'd be lyrics. It'd be shit he said in songs, little one lines and this, that, and the third. So they don't know shit. They making up a lot of things. He was supposed to be negotiating. That's why he had a $500 million deal on the table from Sony. But UMG used Kendrick to devalue him and defame him. So that messed up both deals. So then he ended up having to sue because they devalued him so they can get him back at a lower rate and then put him back. Once you destroy him, how can you get him back? The Drake fans don't answer that question. How can you get him back and make money off of him again? Lucian Grange just said time and time again, I have a very vested interest in Drake. Right? Drake owns half his shit, not all of it. The other half, the old shit, Wayne Ben sold that shit. Okay, so end of the day, we can get into that too, but he don't own all his masters, gang. Okay, everything before 2017, some shit like that, sure, right? I mean after, I'm sorry, after, okay? But let's stay focused, okay? What happened after it dropped? Let's get there because Jay wants to say, Challz, why would you believe that? Or tell us your reasoning, this, that, and the third. Like I got smoked and they won, and Flacco thinks that they won somehow, some way. Flacco been a Drake fan. He been hyping up Drake through the entire battle. This guy, we haven't even seen nothing. He's talking. He told me to be. He says he literally has the nerve to come out of his face. You're supposed to be unbiased if you're media. He tells this is Flacco lecturing me to be unbiased. Meanwhile, we see bias every single day. You cut the channel on. It's all bias all day, every day about this, that, and the third. Even when it comes to the gang members, he got bias against everything, everybody. So and he's leans heavily Drake, but he's telling me, and he's on the West Coast, but he's telling me you need to be unbiased as media, gang. This is just like the other guy who was at the other day. I can't remember who it was, but I just did the video about Myron. I did a video called F Myron with Myron saying black people need to not get mad over words and maintain composure. And at the meantime, they got video clips of him getting mad over words, ready to fight. Okay, but let's stay focused. What happened after Iceman dropped? The three albums dropped. We got Hibbity Bibbity, we got Maid of Honor, right? And we got Iceman. And it was a great day in Whoville. 43 tracks. Niggas had hours of music. Nothing left to do but just sit back, kick your shoes off, and get under the blanket, snug up in it, and play these records. And you can go to sleep, wake up, rewind to the track that you left off on, and just keep listening. And that's what they did. They had a field day. So let's talk about it. Reports and chart analysis from music commentators like NFR Podcast and Rap indicated that Drake's massive 43 track 3 album Iceman, Bibbity, and Maid of Honor experienced a notable drop in streams. But let's before we get to that, let's say what he did. The first week it did 463,000, big number, gang. But after you spend millions on promo, this, that, and the third, you should have did more. Let's just be honest. Then we don't talk enough about the two flops, what they don't want to tell you about. Hibbity Bibbity is a flop by Drake standards, and he had another flop right behind it, the Maid of Honor. When you drop 3 albums, you risk 2 of them flopping, okay? And I don't think he thought that was going to happen. I think he thought everybody's going to listen to all of them, right? I know people, I've talked to mad people that said, I listened to the Iceman, and that was it. They knew about the other 2. They're like, I'm not listening to all that shit. I know a lot of people that said that there's a considerable amount of people who was not going to listen to them other 2, didn't give 2 shits. Well, I told you, K-Dot told him burn that hard drive. He did not say it last year, and you can go back and run to them videos where I said several times. I said either burn that hard drive on that exact same video that he clipped up and try to end my shit. I said burn that hard drive or put everything out. I said you got probably about 35 tracks. Drop all that shit tonight. Stop waiting. You're taking too fucking long, right? I said that shit 100 times. Drop it all. So he dropped it all, but he did it smart. He put it in. He compartmentalized. He put, well, this one gonna go in R&B, and that one gonna go in my hip hop album. You know, I'm making an album called Iceman. It's all hip hop. So all the rap shit, put it over there. All the timestamp shit like that. Slide it in that folder. And then the other one, fuck it. That's gonna be all the Afro beats, the international shit, the shit that's gonna do well over in the UK. Slide it in that folder. So he put all that shit in that hard drive instead of burning it. He put it in separate folders, released 3 joints, but 2 of them shits flop. Now he got 2 massive flops on his name, but nobody wants to talk about that. They want to combine it. And if you motherfuckers don't stop saying that shit, and a combined score don't work like that. He dropped 3 different fucking albums with 3 different SKUs. They don't fucking combine. So stop that shit. Oh, it's 6 something. No, it ain't 6 shit. That nigga got 463, he got 114, and he got 110. Stop the nonsense. We're not buying that shit, but let's stay focused. So after he did these amazing numbers, let's just be honest, that's amazing. Shit, not when you spend that kind of money, but let's say it, let's leave it in there. That's amazing, okay? 450. Mind you, this the 7th. We're gonna get to this. This one of the lowest. This middle of the road for his career. This is not the top that he's ever sold, gang. He's been on a slow decline. Drake is he's fighting this legacy. He's about to be a legacy artist. He's fighting that shit tooth and nail, and these guys are helping him. But after a while, they're not gonna keep being able to run these numbers up for you. But let me stay focused, right? Because the albums dropped as a surprise, dedicated fans heavily front-loaded their listening. However, despite the steep 2-day dip, the sheer volume of this rollout kept his numbers unprecedented. Now, let me say this. In that actual video that Jay releases, right? He has a chart saying that Iceman did, I think he said a 36%. No, Jay. No. Google it. It had a 50% drop. We're going to talk about it, but Jay, you got to play fair, gang. And you were fair. You showed, you could have clipped me up worse. You could have left me hanging out there, and you did show that I said 450 later on to a company, man. Salute you for that. But let's be honest, I don't know what chart you was reading from. I don't know what kind of skewed shit. Maybe it was the shit before noon the next day, but your day 2 facts were wrong. I'm going to read it to you right now, but what happened? Because it was not that, gang. Let me get there. Let me find these, because I have that and it says exactly what it did. Okay, so the difference in numbers, the exact streaming difference for Iceman from day 1 to day 2 on Spotify global chart shows a drop of 69.5 million streams, which is a decrease of 49.47%. Right? The daily breakdown of the exact numbers highlights the shift. Day 1, Friday, May 15th, 140.2 million streams. Day 2, Saturday, May 16th. It's a weekend shit. These motherfuckers on the weekend ain't want to hear this shit. 70.7 million streams, officially tracking at 76,98208 streams. If you're looking at the US only, that ain't even the US only. Let's get to the US only. Let's get to that. If you're looking at the US only Spotify chart rather than global charts, the album dropped from 65.5 million streams on day 1 down to 31.6 million streams on day 2, a regional decline of 51.8. That thing fell like a brick. And Jay, and I'm gonna tell you, you did say this, and you were right, because you didn't try to say I was lying. You said I was right, that things do drop. I said, what goes up must come down. I did say that, and you correctly said I was right. But you try to make it like it wasn't as bad as it was. You start talking about Mr. Morale, this, that, and the third, which Mr. Morale had a bigger drop than GNX. But that's why you kind of played a little fast and loose by bringing in Mr. Morale in the first place. We're not talking about no Mr. Morale. We're talking about GNX, and we're talking about Iceman. So, and we didn't even bring in the other two, right? So GNX and Iceman, big difference, okay? Nobody drops that far. Nobody drops 51.8. That's why I made news. He dropped 51.8 in the US Spotify market. Okay, the very next day, people checked out, and I said on that video, it don't have no staying power, and it don't. Okay, so let me continue what I was saying. So the streaming pack, Iceman alone shattered the 2026 single day streaming record with 140 million streams on its first day. All 3 projects swept the Billboard 200, making Drake the first artist in history to concurrently hold the number 1, number 2, and number 3 spot simultaneously. I told you my brother-in-law, he loved Drake. He sent me a thing. He told me, Challz, won't you guys just give up, stop, it's over. He sent me the thing that Drake was going to be number 1, number 2, number 3. And I said, you know what? I'm happy that you're happy. And I left it at that. We had a little bit back and forth, left it at that. Because I'm not here to antagonize. I want people to enjoy themselves. If you like the album, didn't like the album. It was never a thing of us telling you not to like your shit. But it's a thing when you telling us not to like ours, and that's what we got. And this whole thing about why you guys talking numbers, that shit is becoming one of the most irritating things, because you guys are like bullies. You'll swing and swing and swing, and then when somebody swing back, you say, well, what you swinging for, right? You guys have been hitting us over the head since Good Kid, Mad City about these numbers. Then when he gets his numbers up and he starts competing, you say, oh, I thought it wasn't about the numbers. It's disingenuous bullshit. Okay, let me continue. Let me make sure I ain't miss nothing before I move on, right? Let me make sure I didn't move none before I move, or forget none before I move on. So when you compare all that stuff to GNX, which we've been doing for I don't know how many days, 7 days, this, that, and the third. When Iceman dropped, it did 462 million streams. These are just the streams across 18 tracks in its opening week. Its single day Spotify record, it's a debut, reached 140.2 million. So that's a single day for that album, which I just told you spent millions on promo, this, that, and the third. A whole lot of streamers were hyping it up. Aiden Ross, Ben the Don. It had a hell of a run, gang. It was very, very popular. By the time it was done, you couldn't have prayed to have a better rollout than this, gang. Let's just be honest. If we being honest, views did 1 million. This shit should have did 1 million with all the promo it got. But let's stay focused now. That was the first day Spotify, Now, K-Dot, in comparison, in 2024, let's remember, no rollout, no surprise, this, that, and the third. And I saw one of these Drake, I forgot his name, D. Fran. I just found him today. He's talking about, why you guys got to stop with this narrative that K-Dot didn't have no rollout. He did the Super Bowl. He had a tour. You're talking about he had to pop out. You're talking about a nigga just living his life. He's just being an artist. He's doing what he does. That's not an album rollout. Nobody knew the album was coming. right? So now they're trying to equate everything that he did in 2024 as a rollout. Gang, I can't make this shit up. They're trying to. Homeboy has a whole video. Go check it out. D.I. Fran. This guy's he's one of these up and coming Drake guys, and now he's making his run, making his bid for. He gonna be the second Drake guy that you can watch on YouTube that don't make you want to blow your head off, right? At the end of the day, now his narrative is stop talking about stop saying that there was no rollout for GNX. There most certainly was, gang. I can't make this shit up, gang. These guys, it's like trying to, like, I don't know, catch a rabbit that's run. It's like weird shit that you just waste your time to do, right? So let me continue. GNX amassed roughly 379.2 million streams in his debut week across 12 tracks. Gang, this shit got 12 tracks, and it's cooking this nigga every single day for 7 days after the first day drop off. But they want to tell you an album with 18 tracks plus 2 albums trailing it, which makes people keep listening back and going back to it. They're trying to tell us that they equal, and they're bragging. Gang, I would low key just hold my head up and just listen to my music and mind my business instead of trying to say that I beat a guy that got 12 tracks and he's still beating your music every single day. Okay, I wouldn't even want to talk about it. Now, I'm going to be fair. Google does say that over a year's time, based on how many songs that Drake has and how well it's got at the gate, it probably will pass the numbers of GNX over a year, the same amount of time that GNX did. But let's be honest. I think how many videos that we get off of GNX? 1, right? Like 2? No, we got Squabble Up and Luther, right? If there's a third in there, let me know. I don't remember. Maybe it is. I don't know. But damn sure didn't put Not Like Us on there. Now, I just told you, Homeboy dropped 15 videos. They're not going to brag about that, right? It's 15 videos for an album with 18 tracks. So they're going to say, yeah, he kicking his ass. Gang, this guy spending a whole lot of his own money to try to kick this album that only got 12 tracks, and Homeboy did, if I'm not mistaken, 2 videos. And these videos are smash records, these smash hits, gang. Ain't no fake influence there, okay? But let's keep it, because they'll celebrate anything, gang. They'll make it like they beat you. These motherfuckers will cheat and do the most and do the extra shit, 100 million things, and they finally beat you and they puff their chest out like, yeah. You see all this shit that he's doing. Homeboy, let me just tell you what this nigga Kendrick did. This nigga made 12 songs, lined them shits up, and said, yo, fucking Midnight, just drop that shit. I'm going to Africa some fucking way. Like, wherever the fuck he went. And ain't looked back since he made 2 videos and moved on with his life. This dude is doing everything in his power. And it's only been a week. He did all this shit. He been talking about this album for 2 years. I know for a fact, because when I went on the Wikipedia page, I did a video about it, that they announced the Iceman album in August of 2024. Okay? So it's 2 years of this nonsense. And here we are. They want to brag like they just won the Super Bowl. You did 450, which is regular shit. That's your 7th biggest release in your history. But they want to tell me they won. All right, so let me continue. But wait, there's more, gang. Let's not stop there. Spotify scandal. Let's get to that. Ooh, spooky, right? Spotify's catching heat after they accidentally inflated the streaming numbers for Drake's song Make Them Cry. The platform originally claimed that the track had the biggest single day streaming debut of 2026, but later walked that statement back after discovering streams from 2 separate album tracks were incorrectly combined during a manual review process, gang. How does that happen? How do you get 2 tracks combined to score to say that this guy won? It's like every single one of these apps and Google and Spotify, everybody, Apple, everybody wants to make this guy look good. They're doing everything, because by the time people heard the apology, they had already ran with the narrative that he was the biggest stream artist, and the BTS people, this, that, and the third. People's like, hold up, not so fast. By then, it was too late. They had already ran with it. You gotta understand, these rich guys, they go on outings together. These guys are in cahoots, so they're gonna make sure things are set up a certain way. They're doing a lot of favors. So they allegedly lied. I'm not gonna say they lied. They inflated, right? They inflated the street accidentally for Drake. It's weird, gang. Let me continue. The correction instantly turned into a viral debate online. Some fans are clowning Spotify for what they call a sloppy mistake on one of the biggest artists on earth, while others are questioning how often errors like this happen behind the scenes without people noticing. Drake still reportedly holds the 2026 records for most streamed artist and most streamed album in a single day, but the song itself was no longer no longer owns the top spot. Spotify originally announced. They're talking about that first song, the one song that I said I did hear. I believe it was "Make Them Cry." I believe that's the first. No, I think "Make Them Pay" is the first song. I'm not sure. Whatever the first song was, I said that's the good record. Okay, everything else, keep it. I'm just gonna be honest. I've heard quite a few joints. I've heard a lot of snippets, but I have not put the album on. And some people are critical of me for that. But gang, I'm used to getting criticized. Okay, enjoy it. Have fun with that. Eat your cornflakes. The correction instantly turned into a viral debate. Some fans are clowning Spotify for what they call a sloppy mistake on one of the biggest artists on earth, while others are questioning how often errors like this happen behind the scenes without people noticing. Drake still reportedly holds the 2026 records for most streamed artist and most streamed album in a single day, but the song itself no longer owns the top spot Spotify originally announced. The situation also sparked another round of conversations about streaming transparency, chart accuracy, and whether platforms are moving too fast to push headlines before fully verifying data. Okay, and last but not least, I want to get to this because they're winning, and they don't want you to forget that they're winning. But gang, I saw my own two little eyes on Twitter that these guys are conspiring to openly do bot fraud. Let's get into that. Drake fans openly commit bot fraud. Fans are observed plotting to stream Janice STFU on Twitter in a massive fake public botting scheme. Drake's album Iceman sold 11,500 pure albums in the first week because Drake prioritized streaming without utilizing retail merchandise physical. That's something I'm going to get into in a minute about he only did 11.5 on the physicals. But what happened was they had a clip of them in a Twitter space with these guys, July and these other people. It's a bunch of them that I already know that are assholes. They come at me almost daily. But it's a whole Twitter family that plots these things out. And they said that they were going to basically 24 hours. He said, I don't give a fuck what you say. We're gonna bot this shit for hours. They don't call it botting, we're gonna play it. But when you're going off to do other shit and you go and check your device and leave it on 24 hours a day, you wake up in the middle of the night to make sure it's still streaming and using 2 and 3 and 4. That's your public botting. That goes against the rules of Spotify. That's why they have it where you can't mute it. If you mute it don't count. If your device is muted, it don't count. And if it don't play more than 30 seconds, it don't count. So a lot of that stuff they put in place to try to stop that, but they don't care. These fans and then Nicki Minaj fans and others, they sit there and coordinate, because if they're not coordinating, then people just streaming all over the place. No, they try to coordinate which song. So now they've decided, because he didn't give them a song to say this is the hit. He put out 15 goddamn videos. So they don't know which one is the hit. So they've decided that it's Janice. So now they've organized that they're all going to stream Janice all together. Okay? That is organized. That is openly, publicly botting. That is against the rules because you're not listening to it. You're just putting the shit on repeat. No one listens to no song 24 hours a day. That's bullshit. So they'll take those numbers, gang, and when they get Janice to number 1, number 2, whatever they get it to, they're going to celebrate like they just won the lottery. Meanwhile, we don't do that on this side. We just genuinely like the music. They scheme and plot, but somehow Poetic Flacco's over there crossing his legs, acting like he just became the Prince of Egypt or something, okay? End of the day, you guys, this isn't real. This a lot of this shit, yes, he has fans. I never said he didn't. But a lot of this shit is very manufactured, very coordinated, just like those apps that they got where they letting people clip up the things and they pay them to clip up. Gang, all of this shit. Remember when they was dropping, when this was getting, we wasn't even close yet, but they was paying people to get the Nokia song on TikTok. They were paying people to do dances to the shit. So a lot of this shit is manufactured. I get it. That's what these labels gonna do and these artists on these labels gonna do. But let's not act like you don't do it. But then they want to clap their hands when they won. And some people say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? End of the day, I don't see a lot of that on this side. We're not doing a lot of fake TikTok dances and this, that, and the third. Not like us, went on his own. They ain't have to fake the shit, okay? But they'll like I said, they'll cross their legs and dot their I's, sip their tea. We got them again. Did you? You worked all goddamn night, right? End of the day, this guy's in a deal that he hates. He disses this guy every chance he get. He went to court. He's spending money on a lot of stake money. Get a lot of money to gamble. It is what it is. So none of this shit is a drop in the bucket to him, right? It's a drop in the bucket. Got all that money and miserable, right? Flacco's like, how God in his 50s in his car, he's got something to say about a billionaire. Try to find a way to law. This guy's a billionaire. If he a billionaire, this nigga's sad. This niggas feel like this dude every single rap he rapping about some shit that happened 2 years ago. So he's not happy. He got all that money and he's sad as everybody else, okay? So let's not do that. But let me continue. So then we got the physical. So most of these guys, most of the people, I think like surprisingly, Kanye did like 56,000 physicals. J. Cole did like 116,000 physicals. I think K. Dot did 30-something thousand physicals. Well, Drake did 11.5. And a lot of people are saying, how you have so few people want to buy your album if you got so many streams? It got to be people that's interested in your music. It kind of gives red flags that, okay, maybe it ain't so many people interested. You see these rappers that have all these streams, then they go try to do a show and the shit flop, or they can't get a tour off the ground because they got all these streams but nobody coming out to see them. That's when they get exposed. So people are raising red flags about this. But let me read this. Drake's album Iceman sold about 11.5 pure albums in his first week. Because Drake prioritized streaming without utilizing retail merchandise physical album bundles, his traditional retail sales made up a very small fraction of his massive debut. Despite the minimal amount of physical copies, the album was an overwhelming streaming success. They didn't have to say this. This is Google. I'm telling you, these apps are they're very pro Drake. They're gonna throw the sauce on it whether they need to or not, right? The total first week performance for Iceman reached roughly 460,000 equivalent units. So they couldn't leave it at that fucking shit look weak to get 11.5 in physical sales. They try to sauce it up. I'm talking about, well, he didn't prioritize streaming. He prioritized streaming without utilizing retail merchandise. End of the day, people not buying. They can buy this shit off Apple, okay? So it ain't got nothing to do with bundles. They can just buy the shit to support them. So that's the point that they're not telling you. So end of the day, he's not selling real shit. He's not selling physicals. That shit's important. And as an artist, if you want to maximize and get out your fucking deal, I would think you would throw some vinyl out and throw some other shit out with it. But they try to demonize people for doing bundles, this, that, and the third. I told you, I repeat it on end. I don't give a shit about that nonsense. I never understood the argument. I still don't care how people get mad at somebody doing bundles. It's dumb as fuck to me. But let me continue. So what's the exact difference in these numbers? All right, let me talk about this. After a 2-year rollout, I do want to get to this part right here. I have a clip from Curtis King. I'm going to play this real quick because this is part of what's going on.
And the people who employ him. Yikes. I saw this and thought this was interesting. So, of course, with the first week numbers, we get the day-by-day numbers. And those you remember, GNX, day one was a surprise release that did not even get a full day of reporting, but did 44 million. Drake, after 2 years of promo, 100 gigs, and the album with Party Next Door that y'all stopped twerking to, did 140 million. Hey, man, untouched. Then you get to day two. GNX did 75 million, and then his did 70 million. Iceman did 70 million. Day three, 52 million for GNX. Day three, 50 million for Iceman. Day four, 55 million, which is more than day three, 54 million for day four. Day five, 50 million. Day five, 49 million. Day six, 47 million. Day six, 44 million. Day seven, 40 million for GNX. And day 7, 38 million. I think numbers like this are interesting because although any of these numbers can be manipulated, it is somewhat of an indication of how people are feeling about the album once it has already released. Artists of this magnitude are going to always have a high interest because people are like, yo, this person that doesn't drop but every few years just dropped a full project. I got to go check it out. So first is the discovery and listening phase for an artist or our listener. And then after that becomes, do I actually like these songs?
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna
Will I play them when nobody's around? Am I defending these songs even though I'm not listening to these songs? Do I miss the old version of this artist or do I like this new version of the artist? These numbers, I think, are very, very telling.
So that's Curtis King. Salute to Curtis King. On that, the difference of how K-Dot released an album with no rollout, but that album went up. The numbers stayed where they were. They never went down. Meanwhile, this album had millions of dollars of promo, had years of rolling out. We had 4 episodes because the 4th episode was the night that he dropped the album. He did a 4th episode, so that's also promo. All of this is promo, and the whole world was watching, right? So we had all that happen, and as the weeks started to pan out, Dot was winning every single solitary day off an album that happened 2 years ago, gang. So it's just peculiar that somehow they want to make me feel like I was so out of pocket and this guy is so major. You see all the stuff that was done to get this guy where it was, and we still didn't get the peak of what they really wanted. Gang, I need you to understand, 450, they'll take it. They wanted 650. They wanted 750. Okay? So I didn't even get to the, where's the thing I got to get to about what number these albums are in. So what happened was his albums. Let's talk about this before I get out of here. Here are the Drake's official album equivalent unit first week sales, spanning his commercial studio albums, commercial mixtape, and collaborative projects from highest to lowest. This is from the most that he's ever sold to the least. Okay, so you got Views out in 2016. That was 1,040,000 units, right? Then you got Scorpion in 2018. That was 732,000 units. So those two are his two biggest. The third one, Nothing Was the Same in 2013. That's 658,000 units. Mind you, Iceman ain't close to none of these right here, gang. Okay? Take Care was number 4. That's in 2011. 631,000 units first week sale. Then you got Certified Lover Boy in 2021, right? CLB, that was 613,000 units. So those are 5 big ones right there. Then you got, if you're reading this, it's too late, 2015, that is 535,000 units, gang. So we still not there yet. We still number 7. We just got More Life. It's from 2017. That's at 505,000 units. Now, what I just read to you, I just told you Drake's on his way to being a legacy act. And what I just read to you was 7 records of his career that are all bigger than the Iceman. I guarantee you he never went in his pocket for this many millions to promote any of those. Those were all promoted by the label. So here we are. Let me continue. 2026, Iceman, number 8 on the list all time, 463,000 units. So you're telling me with all that hype, all that promo, all that licking of the ice and this, that, and the third, ice picks and all that, you lit up the whole CNN tower, you spent millions to make that thing blue, right? And at the end of the day, you shot 18 videos all around the city, right? This, that, and the third. You landed your 7th biggest album. All right, let's continue. Thank Me Later in 2010, that was 447,000 units. Her Loss was 2022, which you guys love. You guys tell me that shit's amazing, right? That is the 10th biggest release. That's at 404,000 units, okay? Now, mind you, these albums are getting later in the career. For All the Dogs, 2023, which you guys love. You told me over and over, this, that, and the third, right? For All the Dogs, 2023, 402,000 units, all right? And I'm not even going, I'm going to do you guys a favor. I'm not going to say nothing about nobody. We're going to leave that to you. I'll let you guys do that in the comments. What a Time to Be Alive, 2015, 375,000 units, okay? That's the 12th biggest release. All right, the 13th biggest release, right? Some Sexy Songs for You, the one that I was basing my metrics off, right? That one did 249,000 units. Dark Lane demo tapes in 2020, right in the pandemic, right? 223,000 units. And I'm sure you guys got a million excuses for that one. I don't care. Honestly, Nevermind 2022, 204,000 units. Arguably, to me, one of the worst albums this guy has ever made. It was awful to me. Some of you forced yourself to like it. He had to end up throwing songs on the end to try to make it better. But it was at the end after he already dropped it. But it was terrible. Maid of Honor, 110 units. The lowest album of his career next to Hibbity Bibbity, 2026. That's 114,000 units allegedly. So we just got a whole breakdown, and Iceman is in the middle of the road. That ain't even his highest selling with all that extra sauce he put on it. All right, I'm gonna leave it at this. I look forward to your detailed response, so you can leave it alone. I know Flacco ain't got enough time to sit there and respond to none of this because he barely getting the shit right that he doing already. So he's not gonna double back and try to respond to any of this because why would he? At the end of the day, he don't even have enough patience to sit there and do enough research. He was quoting shit wrong in my damn story. So imagine trying to go after this. But J. Roebuck, I'm out here like I said. I'm waiting. I'm ready. Do what you got to do. But just remember, there will always be a response. I'm going to be honest. At the end of the day, we do got that. That debate coming up. Man, we already said in the comments we gonna do it, and we are gonna do it. But just be ready when we do it, gang, because it don't always go the same like it sounds like when you shadow boxing. It's really a problem over here. Okay, end of the day. And salute to your pops. I want to say salute to your pops. I got mad respect for him. I know what you said he did in the back in the day. He was a promoter for hip hop, and he got a lot of hip hop heads in the business. Salute to him. Mad respect to him for that, gang. And that's what I do. I talk hip hop over here. Legendary hip hop artist. I talk about the culture, and that's why when you see this channel, it ain't a lot of Drake hate. People say Drake hate. I talk about the culture, and when you do stuff against the culture, I'm gonna talk about it. No matter who it is, it's gonna come off like hate, but no, it's not hate. It's tough love, and it's just real shit. All right, listen, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm out of here. CLBMG. Head on over to black-yeti.com. Let them know who sent you. They ship all over the continental U.S. Also, Wednesday nights 9:15, 9:30, we go live. Me, TJ, and Fliz on the What Show. Tap in, lock in. All right. I got the Patreon popping. Head on over to Patreon. Become a member. You can start as low as free, right? Over there on Patreon. I do some exclusive stuff over there. So lock in and check for that. Last but not least, the Peanut Butter Tim's music video. That's off the What Project. Me, TJ, and Fliz, we barking on there, man. A lot of people like that record. That's in my video. Search for it. Get in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'm out of here, man. I'm going to catch y'all on that flip side. Peace.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine. Elevate your mind with high quality THC infused products. BlackYeti.com. Black-Yeti.com.
CLB.
Get my coat, get my sheepskin, grab my wallet, get my pocket knife, and get that hat right there. We out. Grab my pocket knife too. Let's go. When I first came to the city, niggas didn't believe me. I just wanted to join a team and throw assist pass easily. 6 man off the bench, alley-oop pass freely. Suit up for one game and hope a scout might see me. But nah, niggas is greedy, wasn't rocking with him. Unplugged the scoreboard, put a lock on the gym. Told me to power forward, point guard at the rim. And left me with no center and a ball full of phlegm. Not knowing that I'm a dog, a Rottweiler within. With the heart of a pit bull that don't bark for pretend. My bites cut deep, break the bone and the skin. With the level of hustlenomics you do not comprehend. So first I took a block down on the west side end, and then secured a spot with some goons and some kin. And then sent out some flyers, let the games begin. And in 6 months time, the city like that's him. Oh yeah, he the one that moved the hustle to the burbs. And yeah, he the one that knocked the hustlers off the curb. And yeah, he the one that set up shop without a word. And he the one that got it cracking, and all he did was rapping by the Hooters. I kept killers from being shooters. Put a mic in a thug's hand, now he loyal like past fans. Take a man off the streets past the needles and crack cans. Promise mama to keep him safe, then put some food in his face and he'll kill for you. But I don't need him for that. Click like, click share, tell them bitches we back. Share the whole location, tell them niggas where we at. Cause we out here, we ain't the cheese, we the trap.